Hello and welcome. If you're an AP seminar teacher, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to demystify a tool that I know can cause a little bit of stress, and that's the Turnitin Originality Report.
So let's just start with a scenario we've all probably experienced. You open up a student's paper, you see a big, high similarity percentage, and you get that sinking feeling in your stomach. Is this plagiarism? What am I supposed to do now? Well, stick around because we're going to clear that up completely.
All right, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll talk about the Turnitin dilemma itself. Then we'll get clear on similarity versus plagiarism. After that, we'll decode the report, talk about the real evidence, which is the checkpoints, and finally, how you can attest with confidence.
First things first, let's just call it what it is. Percentage panic. You know, that wave of alarm that hits both us and our students when we see a high number on that report. It's a real feeling, and we need to talk about it.
Okay, if you remember just one thing from our time together, please let it be this. A high similarity score does not automatically mean plagiarism. It is not a verdict. It is not an accusation. It's just a number. It's a starting point for a conversation, nothing more. So to really get a handle on this, we've got to get our definition straight. Because there's a massive difference between what the report shows us, text similarity, and what we're actually concerned about, which is plagiarism.
And here's the key distinction, right? Text similarity is just about matching words being present. I mean, a student who is analyzing sources should have text from those sources in their paper. That's totally normal. Plagiarism, though, that's about intent. It's about trying to pass off someone else's work as your own. Two very different things.
So if that percentage isn't some kind of plagiarismometer, then what in the world is the Originality Report actually showing us? Let's break it down.
This quote, straight from the College Board, says it perfectly. The report is a text matching tool. That's it. It's not a judge or a jury. It's just a piece of software that scans for strings of text that match things in its database. It's a tool, not a trial.
And you can see here all the perfectly legitimate reasons for a high score. It's going to flag things like common names, titles of books, or everyday phrases. It'll highlight a beautiful block quote that is cited perfectly. Heck, it could even flag a student's paper because they submitted an earlier draft themselves. None of this is academic dishonesty, not even close.
You know, this really flips the script on what the report is for. It's not really a tool for you to play detective. It's a tool for the student. They're the ones who should look at the highlighted parts and ask themselves, okay, did I cite this right? Does this need quotes? It actually empowers them to take ownership of their work.
And that brings us to the most critical part of this entire conversation. This is your real tool for making sure a student's work is their own, the AP Seminar checkpoints. Honestly, this is where your focus should be, not on the percentage.
Let that sink in. The College Board is telling us, loud and clear, that the checkpoint process is the #1 way to ensure academic integrity. It's those conversations you have with your students that are the real evidence, not some number from an algorithm.
And the beauty of it is that this whole thing is baked right into the course curriculum. You have these natural points to check in to see how the work is developing. You get to talk about their sources, you see the bones of their argument in an outline, and then you review the final piece. You're watching the whole journey, and that's what confirms it's their own work.
I love this way of thinking about it. They're like mini oral defenses. They're not some high-stakes interrogation. They're just quick, structured chats where you get to make their thinking visible. You ask a few questions, and you can immediately tell if they know their stuff. It's that simple.
And all of this leads to that final step, your attestation. This is where you sign off, and the whole system is really designed to empower you, the teacher, to do this with absolute confidence.
So when you click that Attest button, you are not saying, I attest that the Turnitin score is low. No way. You are making a professional, holistic judgment. You're saying, based on my conversations with this student and my professional experience, I'm confident this is their authentic work. Your judgment is what matters.
And if you need any more proof of how important these checkpoints are, well, here it is. 0. That's the score a student gets on a performance task if they don't do the required checkpoints. It makes it crystal clear that showing the process is just as critical as the final product.
So really, it all boils down to this. The College Board has created a system that is built on trusting you. Trust the checkpoint process, and trust the professional judgment you've developed from actually working with your students.
I'll leave you with this to think about. How can you change the way you talk about this report in your own classroom?
How can you reframe it, moving it away from being seen as a scary verdict and turning it into a useful tool, a simple conversation starter about good academic practice? Because that shift in perspective can make all the difference.